Okay. All right. So hey everybody. I'm just gonna be talking about. I'm gonna first give a quick overview of this Table Topics app, and then I'm going to talk about some ways that I plan on refactoring it using React, and then in another video I will show you the finished product. So quickly, this is just the Table Topics app. So right away you'll notice that there's a couple different instances of state, and we will get to our state manager here in a second, but I want to show you the UI manager because essentially React just kind of combines these two things. So let's walk through the app. So right away there's this is I guess the home state or whatever. You click settings, this card pops up. Click view words, this card pops up. View questions, this card pops up. So right away this here would be, I don't know what the naming of it would be, but it'd be one component, and that component would take in an array, and that array is hair. Okay, and then it's gonna map over that array and then show you the questions. So that'd be one component. And then another one would be another instance of state would be this add word and add question component. So we'd have a simple ternary operator to differentiate the pieces of to differentiate the exact state, but for the most part it'd be doing the same thing, adding a word to our mock backend here. So once again we can go ahead and add something, and then that was a word. So if we view words, we will see it gets added twice. When I was coding this, I couldn't really figure out why. But I want to say that once we reload, it checks the local storage, and then it shows. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the reason that happened is because on that add function, it adds it to the array and also adds it to the UI, but only adds it to our local storage once. So that's why on reload it sticks around. So obviously I don't know how to code backend yet, but this stuff would be saved on the backend. But for now we kind of have our local storage being our backend. Okay, so add question has a lot of the same functionality, and then we also have this, which is our edit state, and then we can edit a word here, and then it'll go ahead and change the state. So, and also if we clear our storage and then reload, that stuff is gone. Okay, and then we have our rules state, which just shows you the rules here, and you can go ahead and close that. And then this works. Another part of it is that when settings is open, play is disabled. Now I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys the implementation of how I implemented all these things, and then talk about how I'd want to do it with React. So obviously these would be button components. This would be a list component, I guess. Then we have our edit state component, another edit state component. Okay, so so let's walk through the code really quickly. How much time do I have left? 3 minutes. So we'll let this run in the background so you guys can see how the background changes at 60, 90, and 120 seconds. And then really quickly, these are buttons. This one pauses it, plays it. This one would restart it. This would stop it, tell you didn't qualify. Quick that once again. Okay, so right away, let's go top to bottom. Okay, so this is kind of our pseudo API, and it's just in our data structure with, let me not mess with this. It's just the data structure with questions. Right now, the way I have it is that I'm not sure where it is, but essentially we get a random integer, and then we use that random integer to fetch a question by its ID and then display it. So why do idolize sports players is number 7. Okay, but what I can do is make this more of a mock backend and have functions to serve information to our front end. And also what I can do is, one problem I had while creating this was sometimes you get the same question twice in a row or twice in a session. So what I could do is create an instance of state which keeps track of the questions that have already been served. And as you can see, turns green at 60 seconds. So yeah, so I can create some backend functions so you don't get the same thing. Twice. So how? Let me stop that. So how these things were working, it was kind of janky, kind of hacky. I hacked it together, I guess you could say. But as you can see, all of these things, this settings card, whoops, come on, the settings card, these buttons are all already living inside of the DOM. As you can see, it's all already inside of the DOM. What I did to hack it together was, where is it? I guess it'd be in UI. Was simply, so you guys remember that's the display card, and what I would do is simply, let me find it. So this is a little reducer, I guess. What I do, so here it's a great example. So on play, we're going to all of these buttons go from display inline to display none, which is what it is at default. Same thing with this. It's not even removing it from the DOM, it's just hiding the display. Same thing with this, it's not removing anything, it's not adding anything, it's just changing its display setting to block. And that's essentially, you know, how I got it to show and how I got it to display. You know, I didn't know anything about ternary operators here, so I could have got rid of a lot of redundant code, but you know, I was just trying to get it together. I wasn't trying to make it as performant as possible. So as you can see, and I'll also definitely link the GitHub down below. As you can see here is with this one, and I just so I had, let's peek the definition. So this just returns a true or false value. Obviously, so let's peek it. Okay, I can't peek it, I guess. We'll go to it in a second. But essentially, we're just going to hit our back end. You guys can't see the air quotes. We're going to hit the back end, and then for each entry, go ahead and display everything in there. So this is our update. So yeah, so let's go to our state manager, because this is a React refactoring, so I want to focus on our UI and our state manager more so than the actual code. The code's more so than the actual functionality, because it's not that important to what I want to do here, because I want to refactor it using React. Yeah, so this is my state manager, and essentially what it does is it takes this display, so this is our display component, and then it passes in an element to it, and it changes that inner HTML. So when I want to edit question state, you know, I just completely come in here and change the HTML to our edit question state, and then I believe I use some on clicks here to help the functionality. And then we simply call change display state, which gets our question display, which is this, and then changes the inner HTML of it to whatever the element is. And that's essentially how I got the state to work up here, essentially, by just changing its inner HTML. So obviously React has its own implementation of that, but I guess this was my, you know, this is how I implemented it, by essentially just changing the inner HTML of all of these things. And you can go ahead and see all the different states we have. So that's why I don't think refactoring this should be so hard, because essentially I already have the states listed out here and what they need to contain and what they need to do. So yeah, I think that's it. Everything I wanted to cover, I covered the UI, I covered the state manager. This would be storage, but once again, this stuff would just be living in the state of the application, and yeah. So yeah, and also obviously, when I refactor this, I'll do it from the ground up. Well, not the ground up, maybe like the second level up, just because I know that some of these functions could be a little better. Like, I don't need to be doing this because this is the truthy falsy value, and I can simply just do, like, if items in storage, blah 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 blah. So I'll try to get rid of that, but I don't want this to be a huge project. I just want it to be my first React project because it's something I'm familiar with. So that's the whole video. I'll link it down below.